Have you ever wondered why people at the bottom of the ladder, instead of uniting, often end up turning on each other?
It's a question that's bothered me for a long time.
It seems like it should be obvious, right? Like, wouldn't it make more sense to team up against whatever system is keeping everyone down?
You'd think so, but it happens all the time throughout history and even today.
And it's like frustrating, because we're all kind of in this together in a way, aren't we? But instead of finding common ground, people get caught up in these divisions.
Exactly, and that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We're going to be exploring a concept called the Bourbon strategy.
Which, just to clarify, has nothing to do with Kentucky or cocktails.
Right, no relation to your favorite brown liquor.
Unless you consider the bitter taste of social manipulation a kind of cocktail.
Touché. So this Bourbon strategy idea comes from a talk by James Gilligan, and he draws on some pretty fascinating historical examples.
Yeah, he specifically looks at how Lyndon B. Johnson, LBJ, viewed racial dynamics in America. And honestly, some of his observations are kind of mind-blowing.
LBJ was a complex figure for sure, but his insights into how power operates are really valuable even today.
All right, so let's break it down. What exactly is this Bourbon strategy?
Well, LBJ used the term Bourbon to refer to the white ruling class in the South after the Civil War.
Okay, so not the drink itself, but the people who might have enjoyed a glass of bourbon while, upholding a system that benefited them at the expense of others.
Precisely. And what LBJ noticed was that this ruling class had a vested interest in keeping racial discrimination alive and well.
Because a divided society is easier to control.
Right. It's classic divide and conquer. By keeping poor whites and black communities at odds with each other, the ruling elite could distract everyone from the real issue, the fact that they were all being exploited by the same system.
So it's like instead of uniting against the folks at the top who were calling all the shots, poor whites were led to believe that their main enemy was black people.
And tragically, that resentment often turned into violence and oppression.
Talk about misdirected anger, right? But is this Bourbon strategy just a relic of the past? Or are we still seeing it play out today?
Oh, it's absolutely still relevant. Just look at the rhetoric around immigration. Politicians and media outlets often portray immigrants as a threat to jobs and resources.
Which plays right into the fears of working class folks who are already struggling.
Exactly. It creates this us versus them mentality that pits people against each other instead of encouraging them to demand better from the system as a whole.
Almost like a magician's trick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Distracting you with one hand while the other hand is picking your pocket.
A very apt analogy. And Gilligan argues that this dynamic isn't limited to race either. It can apply to any situation where one group feels threatened by another, often over scarce resources or opportunities.
Like competition for jobs. I mean, we've all felt that pressure at some point, haven't we? That fear of being replaced or losing out.
Absolutely. And that anxiety can make people incredibly hostile toward anyone they perceive as competition, even if those people are equally disadvantaged by the system.
It's like everyone's fighting for scraps while the people in power are feasting at a banquet.
A powerful image, and one that captures the essence of this dynamic.
It's pretty bleak when you think about it.
It is, but recognizing these patterns is the first step towards challenging them.
So let's dig into that a bit more. Is this Bourbon strategy always a conscious, deliberate tactic? Or can these divisions arise without some mastermind plotting behind the scenes?
That's where things get even more complicated. Gilligan points to the role of unconscious bias. These are the hidden beliefs and assumptions we pick up from society that can influence our behavior without us even realizing it.
Like those knee-jerk reactions or stereotypes that pop into our heads before we can even stop them.
Exactly. We all have biases. It's part of being human. But the problem is that these biases can lead to discriminatory actions and reinforce systems of inequality, even when we have good intentions.
So even without a puppet master pulling the strings, these harmful dynamics can still play out.
Yes, and that's why self-awareness is so crucial. We have to constantly be questioning our own assumptions and be willing to challenge the narratives that pit groups against each other.
Because if we're all susceptible to unconscious bias, how can we possibly break free from these cycles of division? It feels like we're bombarded with messages designed to keep us at each other's throats.
It's a constant battle, but I believe the antidote lies in fostering empathy and building genuine connections across difference.
Meaning, we have to start seeing each other's humanity, even amidst our disagreements.
Precisely. Instead of getting caught up in us versus them thinking, we need to recognize that we're all interconnected and that our struggles are often intertwined. When we start seeing ourselves as allies rather than enemies, that's when real change becomes possible.
That's a powerful message. But it also feels incredibly challenging in today's world. If division is such an effective tool for maintaining power, what hope do we have for creating a more just and equitable society?
It's a daunting task, no doubt. But I think the key is to never give up hope. We have to keep pushing for change, keep challenging the status quo, and keep building bridges of understanding.
Because even small acts of kindness and solidarity can chip away at these systems of oppression.
Absolutely. Every time we choose empathy over fear, every time we speak out against injustice, we're contributing to a more just and compassionate world.
Well, that's something to hold on to. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed after this deep dive, you're not alone. These are complex issues, and there are no easy answers.
It's simply by engaging with these ideas, by being willing to question and learn, you're already taking a step in the right direction.
So as you go about your day, try to pay attention to the narratives you encounter. Are they fueling division or fostering unity? Are they reinforcing stereotypes or challenging them? The choice ultimately is yours. And remember, even small actions can make a difference.
It's about creating a ripple effect. One act of kindness, one conversation, one courageous stand can inspire countless others. Never underestimate the power of your own voice and your own choices.
On that note, we'll wrap things up here. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it sparked some reflection and maybe even a bit of hope that a better world is possible.
And until next time, keep questioning, keep connecting, and keep fighting for a future where everyone can thrive.
See you in.
Take care.